Hello. Apologies, no intro because I just found out last minute that the wrestling intro was added and the wrestling background. So you would have got a wrestling intro, which is not very appropriate, guys. So sorry, no intro today. Welcome to the Afternoon Rabble, part of the Rabble Podcast Network and the Talk Sport Fan Network as well. I am joined for the second Friday in a row by Ash. Ash, how the hell are you? You must be good considering it's the weekend, or is Rangers still making you scallop?
No, well, yes, Trev, we are back by unpopular demand for the second week in a row. I'm not sure it's what the people wanted, but sadly, it's what they've been given. I'm doing much better now that the wrestling graphic has gone, because when I first logged in, I thought, oh no, if I'm meant to come on and talk about wrestling, it's going to be quite a quick show. So no, I'm doing very well. Looking forward to the football tomorrow, despite my rant yesterday. So what about you?
I don't know if I'm looking forward to football. More catching up with yourself, to be fair, Ash, because even if it's shite, it's just good to get a catch up and then moan about
Mm.
Rangers because you feel like a wee bit of, you get a wee bit of weight off your shoulders. So um, JD's in here. That's genius. That's bloody brilliant. That is brilliant. Well done, mate. Ah, oh my God, we're getting nickname. It's better
I
than
could
Richard
catch on.
Judy. It's better than Richard
Richard
Judy,
and
isn't it?
Judy was also a 10 out of 10. I do like the nicknames.
I do as well. I'm just a bit of a low blow. Richard Judy, Jesus Christ, we're better than that. And then we've got Adolf's comb over. Good. Well, you say that, right? There you go. Hey, don't only my friends get out. Only my friends get out, right? Everyone else,
Who has
it's
just
terrible.
escaped from that loft, Trev? That looks like that's been a fresh exit being created. I'm quite nervous about what's going on in your flat right now.
Of course it is, guys. Use know I'm bang on time because I'm punctual. I'm many things, but I'm definitely punctual. So welcome in, beep, bop, boop. I still love that name, and I know you do that because it's a tongue twister. And Adolf's come over. I mean, that's genius. That is absolutely genius username. I absolutely love it. It's not trash. It's Tash Butler. Come on, man. Jesus. Anyway, right. I have a question to ask you, Ash, right? It's a little kind of funny to start us off. Have you ever noticed Russell Martin on his right arm has got a bobble, hairband,
No, I
bobble
have
thing?
not
Yeah, he does, right?
noticed that.
Certainly looks like it, right? His hair's not
Right.
long enough for that. Never seen him wear it once, right? So I thought possibly it's one of his daughters because he's got some younger kids, right? Maybe one of his daughters gave it to him. Or my theory really is that it's yours.
My bubble.
Yeah, you're Lucy Pinder, you're not.
Oh, yes, I see the reference there now. I can honestly say that I don't think it's my bauble. I think it might be a little, is it not like a friendship bracelet or something? Now, I'm
No, it's
not
not a
down with the
bubble, mate.
kids.
It's not got the wee bits in it and the like numbers and sparkly bits and that. It just looks like a plain bauble. Guys, I noticed that I saw that. Tell me someone else has noticed it. Please, where am
Do
I
you know what,
going with this?
Trev? I was going to say, I think what this reflects to me is that Russell Martin's press conferences have got so boring that now you're actually catching things like what's on his wrist. You've stopped listening to what our manager is saying, and we're now spotting whether he's wearing baubles or friendship bracelets. So I think that tells you all you need to know.
It's an anxiety thing, Sniper says. It might be, you never know. It's probably one of these wee girls, just a funny. Um, and before we got on to the main topic in a sec, because we have plenty to talk about, I found something really interesting article-wise before, Ash, when I was looking for things to discuss and relevant things to come up. And this was hilarious. It was on the 13th of August via the Scottish Sun website. And the article headline is Scotland's dirtiest and cleanest football stadium toilets revealed as Celtic Park makes top 10. Cheer me up. And it wasn't for the cleanest either.
The jokes tell themselves. I think we've also had some links incidents, haven't we, and some deodorising issues at certain stadiums in Scotland. But you're right, we probably better not go down that before we get ourselves
Yeah,
kicked off the
yeah, I
network.
found that amusing. Right, okay. We have Dessers to discuss in a wee minute
Mm.
and the potential long-term injury to him. However, I want to get your opinion on the heavy rumours of Jefte heading back to Brazil. We're hearing a rumoured £6 million plus add-ons. I personally, well, it's not been confirmed by the club yet. Other sources are coming out saying it's more or less done, to be announced shortly. I can't get my head around that one. I really can't get my head around how we could get so much money for this guy. I'm not complaining. I just don't think he's been great at all. His defending's been honking recently, and people are just saying, well, they're actually looking at his potential there, and they're signing it off his potential because he's so young. Your thoughts, please?
So I wonder if they're maybe making the signing of Jefte the same way that we've done with Manny Fernandez, and by that I mean they're kind of looking at his attributes, his raw qualities, almost like the statistical data, and sort of saying that actually this guy has a lot of assets that, if used in the right way, in the right system, with the right coaching, actually could develop into a top player. Because you look at Manny Fernandez, I don't think we've spent a couple of £1 million based on his performances at Peterborough. No disrespect to the guy, he's not played a huge amount of football, but there was a few shaky performances in there. But if you look at his raw attributes, he actually, if he's well coached, could develop into a top player, and probably at that point would be out of our reach in terms of affordability. So I hear what you're saying about Jefte. I think he's been a victim of a couple of things. I think one, last year we were a bit of a bomb scare. And he was asked to play way more football than I think anyone expected him to, because Ridvan was injured and a few other issues going on there. I think it's a good move. I think the club deserve a lot of credit if that's the deal they've negotiated. It's a huge profit on a player who I think many of us would agree maybe shouldn't have been our first choice left back, and defensively was quite exposed. I also don't think he particularly fits the Scottish game, to be honest. I think the kind of having to defend high balls, that cross ball in behind, was something that constantly flummoxed him. So going to play in a sort of different style might actually suit his skill set a little bit better. And the other thing as well is, I think, when he came into the team, there was a lot of attacking quality there initially, but I felt that dropped off significantly. And actually, in a Russell Martin system, he's not going to be comfortable coming inside and being an extra man in midfield from what I've seen. He's much more comfortable going on the outside and creating opportunities that way. So I think whichever way you look at it, he's a player that Martin, I don't think, fancied, as was evidenced by the fact that, Aidan's played 1 or 2 games too many on the wrong side. You could see he was uncomfortable, but he persisted for longer than he should have. And really, I think he was playing there out of necessity more than Martin fancying him. So if that's the deal we get for a player that possibly was surplus to requirements, then the club do deserve a little bit of credit.
No, credit where credit's due. We take that and we run to the bank as if we've just actually run away from the bank, because I feel like we've just robbed that club potentially. It's an interesting one with him, because he had potential. I could see it, you could see it, we could all see it. He's not just quite kicked on. You could say the same. You could say the same potentially about Ridvan, though. He was the player that was supposed to be absolutely brilliant. It's Turkish marvel come over, and if you take away the injuries he had, he still didn't necessarily convince me. I mean, you could, again, like Jefte, you could see something there in him. I mean, I just remember Big Balogun leapfrogging him after the cup final, the League Cup final, and that was absolutely hilarious. But I know Martin's he obviously, like, Ridvan's nowhere near to be nowhere on the scene whatsoever. Would you, if you were, you could tell Martin who to play essentially, would you want to give Ridvan a wee chance again and see what he can do, or did you just have to go along with the manager? Go, right, if the manager's not convinced, there's no point. If he doesn't see you of any use to the team, there's just no point. We just go out and get another left back.
So I think that there's no chance really for Ridvan to come back, and I think primarily it's, as you've touched on there, it's because he's never really convinced consistently in a Rangers jersey, even when he's been fit, which sadly hasn't been that often. And the reason I say that I don't think he would work for Martin is, one of the things that you can really level at Ridvan is his ball distribution can be really poor. I've watched in domestic games where you just can't pass the ball 5 yards. And that, ball retention, ball control, looking after the ball is such a big part of what Russell Martin wants to do, that I just don't think he would be able to tolerate that. And I think it speaks volumes that Ridvan was never really given the opportunity under Martin. Whatever he's watched before he came to the club has convinced him that Ridvan isn't for him. So you could be a little bit critical of the club in some ways, that this whole Ridvan thing rumbling on for as long as it has, we're now a little bit exposed if Jefte goes, because we now need to find 2 left backs, and we need to find them quickly, because the Aiden's experiment at left back can't continue. And Timothy makes a good point there. I'm not surprised at all, or won't be surprised, sorry, if Jefte does end up making his way back to Europe in a few years' time, because I think he has the potential to do that. But I would argue that I don't think his skill set fits what we're trying to do over the next couple of years. So you may as well cash in on him now than have him waste on the bench for a year and a half when his value will drop. So left back is an interesting one, and I hope the club have got a few things lined up, because we're going to have to move quickly. There's not a lot of the window left, and I can't really think of many left back links we've had other than the Liverpool boy that I think went to Derby on loan. So there's a bit of work to do to fix that gap in the squad.
It's actually became a bit of a key position now, maybe the key position potentially to fill. And I like to think that they're actually on the case right now. As Noel says there, Jefte's won more headers than their centre halves. It's his positional sense that makes him a bomb scare. You've got a point there, mate. You do have a point there for sure. And Ash was talking about the positional sense getting done in several occasions. And well, we Red fan actually surprising him at times he could actually go up for a header considering his size. But the vertically challenged, more than the vertically challenged, Ash. Somewhat we've got
founding member of the vertically challenged, yeah.
What are you trying to say, Martin? Yeah. What are you trying to say? You need to keep both eyes on me, actually. That's exactly what we're talking about. And yes, that is an arcade machine, mate. That is an Atari arcade machine with some of the old classics on it, Missile Command and things like that. I don't play as much as I should do, but yeah. You know the old arcade cabinets from back in the day, Ash? Come on.
Yeah, but I don't know those games. I've lived a sheltered life, clearly.
Jesus Christ. Right, okay. We'll move on to the main topic of today, which is CD9, Cyril Dessers. He's a very much like Marmite, this boy. I'm not a massive fan on him, but I can appreciate what he can bring to the team. Obviously, top goal scorer for us recently. He has got some attributes to us, but then we know he will fall flat in his face many occasions. As soon as someone nudges him, he will be offside. He's probably been offside more than he's had goals, to be fair. But now we can't even give him more of a chance to actually try and prove us wrong, because the boys went and got himself injured. It looked like a bad one when he caught his stud on the ground, and the way he just kind of turned, it looked really, really bad. Now, I know he got up immediately and started walking away with some help and support. We don't read too much into that. He had 2 people helping him, but it looks like it is a bad one, Ash. It looks like it's a very bad one. I want your thoughts on that. If we should then try, along with left back, try to prioritise another striker, because regardless, best case scenario, he's out for several weeks, probably a month or 2. Best case scenario, right? Even if it's just a bang or something there, and he's not quite torn something, but he needs to heal up. So your thoughts on that?
So I agree with you. We're not medical experts, but I have watched quite a bit of football, and that type of stud stuck in the ground, knee not moving and body twisting, it just almost collapsing underneath him. I would be very surprised if that's not a very, very serious injury. And on a human level, I really feel for him. He's 30, there or thereabouts, to get that type of injury potentially. And we don't know. I think Russell Martin might have more news later this afternoon. But if it is a bad one, for him to pick up that type of injury at this stage of his career is devastating for him. Because I think younger players, I don't want to use the dreaded word ACL, but if it's something of that ilk, younger players have that injury, and I'm not sure they ever reach the potential that they initially had. It is a really, really big one to come back from. And then you get lots of other muscular injuries as you're when you finally do come back, you get all these niggles. So you're 18 months out potentially from being back at where you wanted to be. So let's hope that's not the case. As I say, we're not quoting that that's true. It could be wrong, but it didn't look like a clever one. So on a human level, I feel for him. With regards to what it means to the squad, it's a huge, huge problem. Now, Dessers, for all the criticism that he gets, one thing you can say is he's never hid. He's never down tools. He's never disrespected the club. He's always given 100%. Now, Sadly, sometimes that's not been good enough. But actually, there's quite a few games where, I mean, even Pilsen at home, he came in and was fantastic and gave us a completely different aspect of our attack and was a big reason why we won that game and effectively won it so well that Tuesday, we were able to navigate that with a few bumps. So when he's on form, I think of Fenerbahce away as well when he was unplayable. Dessers contributes massively. That being said, I think even if he wasn't injured, a lot of people probably felt that we needed a striker because if Igamane does go, and who knows how that's going to turn out, but if Igamane does go, that leaves us with potentially just Danilo for the season. And I'm sorry that as much as I think Danilo can play a role in a squad, he cannot be your number one striker if you're seriously going to fire your way to a title. And I don't say that with any pleasure. So the need for a striker was big before the Dessers injury, potentially. It's now an absolute, I think it's actually even bigger than left back. And I've just sat there and said that we need a new left back, but we 100% need to make that happen. So the fear I have is that's kind of gone all quiet in recent weeks. Turgeman was one, the Israeli boy that looked like it was potentially close. That's gone quiet. And I haven't really seen too many other striker links. So again, a bit like what I said with the left back situation, I hope the club have got a list of candidates to go at because we cannot go into next season with Danilo and Igamane. Albeit I think Igamane's going to be great if we keep him. I'm just not sure that's actually going to happen.
Fair enough. Stephen, how you doing, mate? How's it going? Very true. Thank you for the $20 Australian super chat there. Carried the whole squad on his shoulders for a long time. Yes, he did. Listen, I know, I think I eased off on him last time Martin asked me about Dessers. I was just, and I don't want to rehash the old same debate again. I don't see the point. The boy's injured. I feel sorry for him. As Ash said, he always tried and worked. I will give him credit for that. And that should be part of the course being a Rangers player. It really should be. You should be doing these things and it should be normal and standard. And he was such a lovely bloke. Like when he paid for that person's haircut, when he was getting his own Barnett cut, he's just a really nice lad. He missed too many chances for me. And I wasn't necessarily trying to chase him out the door. I was happy for him to stay and try and fight for his spot in the squad. I just wanted someone better than him to give him competition, whether that's Igamane. I don't think it'd be Danilo, like we just talked about him. He's not cutting the mustard. Whether it's Danilo or we bought someone else in to provide him competition, you need, I think, is it safe to say, Ash, you need 3 good, competent to good strikers fighting each other for competition for a starting spot?
Well, I think you need a couple. I think you need to have a main striker, the guy that is your go-to on the big occasion. But I think Stephen makes an excellent point there. Dessers has been a victim of a lack of quality around him. Dessers has, he's done his thing in terms of numbers. He's contributed goals, he's contributed assists, etc. But the point you made is also valid. He's also missed big opportunities in big games. If he wasn't having to almost single-handedly get the goals in the team, Czerny obviously helped last year. But if he hadn't single-handedly had to do that, then we'd probably reflect on Dessers a lot more positively. It's just that we had to play him pretty much every game because there was no viable alternative, which meant that you got to see some of the ugly part of his game too, which is when he's got too much time. He doesn't always finish. He doesn't always like the physicality of the Scottish game. He gets pulled into niggly arguments with defenders. He's not going to run past somebody or have people backing off him because he can, get round him or whatever. So there are definitely flaws in his game, but you can't level at him that he's not contributed. It's just that we've had such a lack of alternative options that his contribution single-handedly hasn't been enough, which is why I think people are a bit more negative about him than they should be.
Fair enough. I know singing, I know. If it did, oh my God, you need to build another trophy room. I know, it's the character of the boy. That's what I'm saying. I feel bad he's got injured because he's a lovely, lovely man, a nice human being. He's always got a smile on his face. I like the guy. And he had some mental issues as well when he was having to speak to sports psychologists and things as well to try and wrestle the demons. So I do feel sorry for the guy a little bit.
Just sorry on that Trev as well.
Yes.
Would I love Dessers to be one of our striking options behind a number one striker? 100%. Would I like to see Dessers come off the bench to help us in certain games? Absolutely. And the sad thing is that option potentially could be taken away if he's injured. So losing him to injury is a blow to the squad. Whichever way you look at it. I'm not saying that it's not. It definitely is. But the problem was that, as I say, we were too reliant upon him, and other people didn't step up, either didn't have the quality or didn't have the opportunity to step up. So somebody is going to have to do that this year to replace those goals, because between him and Czerny being out of the team, that's a lot of goals that we've lost that are going to have to be replaced. So that must be at the forefront of the hierarchy's mind, Thelwell, etc. I hope that they're looking at that and making some calls this afternoon.
And Ash as well. I mean, if we take away the human aspect of it and look at the cold, hard business value asset side of things, as the gaffer said recently, when he was basically giving all those jobbers a bloody the rocket up the backside after Motherwell. So that Dessers was the only one we had a bid in for, guys. Get a grip. There's no chance now that he's going. There's potential £4 million odd potential down the Swanee that we will probably never see because of his age, and he might be another year on from now. So we've actually not just lost out on the goals, but we've actually lost out on money from possibly selling this guy on, haven't we? So that's a concern.
We have, and that's really unfortunate. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing. After Pilsen at home, I certainly wasn't crying too hard about them not selling Dessers to Ike for, a valuation that they felt was too low. I kind of thought, well done, the club, that's the right decision. Keep him, get us through these qualifiers, and then he can go. So I don't really blame the club for that. But you're right. There is now a loss of a financial asset as well that we're just going to have to wear. It's going to be, and look, I mean, we're talking as though we know that it's a bad injury. It might not be, but losing one of your talisman from the squad when you haven't replaced somebody in his position is a worry, regardless of how long he's out for. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I hope that we get good news, but my fear is that won't be the case.
Yes, agreed. Okay, we have several people that, no surprise, we're actually agreeing with you before, Ash, and I thought this as well. We had a couple of the boys coming in saying getting Turgeman. Yes, I agree. From what I was hearing about the boy, I said I don't watch a lot of football outside Rangers. I was kind of agreeing with you there. Paul as well, Turgeman as well. I'd be up for that. I think he would go for the relevant money. There was concerns that because of obviously the conflict over there at the moment, that they might not want to be selling their main stars because they might not be able to get replacements in. But at the end of the day, Ash, money talks, doesn't it? If we've got that money, we've just got that money for getting through to the next round of to the final playoff round, the Champions League. We should be using that and a little bit. I'm going in and getting a top striker, shouldn't we? I mean, I know you said we need to get a replacement in, but we need to get someone then that can start, that is actually to an extent established, that has got so many goals in his league that season and can hit the ground running.
Yeah, and that's the great position that we're in now, Trev, financially with the owners and stuff. If this had happened in a previous season where we'd brought in so many players and we had this type of potential issue right near the end of the transfer window, we'd be in a lot of trouble. But I think now there's a recognition within the club that we are going to have to probably overspend this summer to put us in a position to start the kind of building of a squad that, hopefully in future years will just need to be refined rather than ripped up, which I feel like is pretty much what we've done every summer since 55. But yeah, there is money there. I think if we bring money in for Jefte, I think if we can move Ridvan on, Ben Davies is another one who I think is someone that we should get a little bit of money for. But the club probably do need to start making these deals happen just to get some income in and get some money off the wage bill. But there is no doubt in my mind the club will know they have to go and buy a striker. Now, I see Turgeman, he's one that I liked, but I have to say, like you, I've only watched on YouTube. And that's interesting, Paul, because I think Maccabi actually went out of the European qualifiers. So a lot of people thought that might help with the potential transfer because they're not going to be holding them, to try and get them through and get a bit more money by making later rounds. Another one that I like, and I see a few people have thrown it in there, is Majowski. I would happily go and pay good money for Majowski because I thought he was a class above when he was at Aberdeen, caused us no end of problems.
And understand though, won't it? We should have got him when he was at bloody Aberdeen. Now it's even more money.
See, I don't know because obviously it's a bit like buying any sort of Scottish player. You pay a Rangers tax. I think clubs don't want to sell to us, and Aberdeen, their fans would just frankly not have accepted selling to us. So I actually think that probably the better time to get him is now. I don't think he's been particularly influential over in Spain, I think he is. So you could probably get him back for a reasonable price. I think he went for 6 million. So I would imagine you might be able to get a little bit off that just because he's not played as much. But I don't know. I haven't paid any great attention, but I think he's a quality player and understands the Scottish game, etc., etc. So he would be one that I would absolutely be looking at. Whether or not he would be interested would be another question.
Okay. Before we quickly look at tomorrow, because the boys will discuss it more tonight, as they always do, and it might be an obvious one, but regardless, I still want your opinion on it. Is that my wee boy Riker there?
Apologies, he's just taken himself and
No, it's
banged
all
himself
right.
off the desk.
I've got a lot of time for Riker. That's Ash's dog. He's a
You
lovely boy.
behave, Riker.
Is this an opportunity for Igamane to step in and show us what he's all about? I mean, bear in mind, he's behind in fitness, so we haven't even seen a whiff of the boy in recent times. But for me, Ash, I like the guy. If he's coached properly, he can kick on and do better. He could be a perfect replacement. Now, don't get me wrong, we still need someone else to come in regardless. But if we can get him fit quickly, I would be starting them and giving them some game time and giving them every opportunity to see what he's all about. I'm assuming you're the same with that one.
Yeah, I love Igamane. I love that when you watch him, you don't know what you're going to get. There's a raw kind of maverick playground type guy just having fun playing football. And I know that maybe modern day football, you need someone that's a bit more tactically astute, etc. But I think we've got that around the rest of the team. He just gets the ball at his feet and does what comes naturally. And when it comes off, I mean, it's spectacular. Old Firm game winner definitely springs to mind. But I think because he has that level of unpredictability, it means that defenders sit off him. It gives the opposition a different threat to think about, whereas I think Dessers and Danilo at times can be a little bit predictable. And can you imagine Igamane being given the service that Gassama and Antman have shown they are capable of? Now, it's very anecdotal. We've not seen a lot of them, but a lot of the qualities they appear to bring, they should create a lot of opportunities for a guy like Igamane, Tello Asgard in behind, Diamande, if we can get him playing at a level that he's capable of, then, Moore as well. That's another really good addition potentially to the squad. So I think Igamane could be excellent for us. The question will be mentally, given all the noises around him agreeing a deal with, I think it was Lille and a few other clubs that were sniffing around, he was happy to move on. If he doesn't get the move he wants, will he mentally be in the right state of mind? I think that'll be a bit of work for Martin and the coaching staff to do. Because if he wants to be here and give us one proper season before he gets a big move somewhere else, then that could be excellent. But he's got to have the right attitude. So hopefully he does, and we'll see a bit of him tomorrow if he's back fit.
Yeah, it's the thing that it does to your mind when you're getting calls. I think the gaffer was saying that recently about Raskin. His head might have been turned slightly by calls because there's nothing you can do about that. Players will get calls, and that maybe think about other opportunities and go off their boil a little bit. So it could be the same Igamane as well. We can't afford that. He needs to be coming in and competing and getting goals for us pretty much immediately. We do have a super chat in here. We need to address the big man. Stephen Robinson, another $10 Australian dollar super chat. Thank you, my man. We keep bringing in younger players, all good and fair for the future. But who's going to lead the boys domestically? Of course, it's always usually good points from Stephen. Thank you for your contribution again, mate. It's getting this blend, this balance just right. Mm-hmm. Of course, we need project players for the future. And that's maybe what Fernandez is all about. We'll see. But I think we need a couple of people that could go in and start just now. This is why I'm gutted that we never got Cody, because he's an experienced boy for the next year, 2 years that we could have actually get in to start. I've got a funny feeling we're not signing enough older heads with enough experience at the moment. I mean, we've got Rothwell, for example, he's in there, but we've signed a lot of young boys there. Are you concerned about the lack of experience in our team, Ash?
I am, because I think when the chips are down and in game there are difficult moments, you need to have leaders. You need to have people that can put the arm around the shoulder, but you also need people that feel confident enough to hold their teammates accountable. And I mentioned yesterday that body language this early in the season was already a concern for me. And I think that it was quite clear on Tuesday night when we were under the cosh, pretty much defending for our lives for most of the game, that there didn't really seem to be a leader who could pull everyone together and just calm things down and, maybe for 5 minutes not do exactly what the manager wanted them to do, but have the strength of character to say, look, guys, we're in the game, we know what's going on here, we just have to take a slightly different approach to just take some of the pressure off. Rothwell, I think, obviously is experienced, so he will do a bit of that, but he's still new at the club. He doesn't have the same standing amongst the squad that some of the other players do. Tav is not your rah-rah captain. This is not, I'm not going to get into a Tav bashing session, but that's not his game. He leads by example, I think, in the sense that, he tries to play his best football. He's come up in some big moments for us, but he's not, to me, someone who, as a fellow player, you're frightened of getting the wrath of. I just don't think that's his game. So, yeah, I agree with Stephen. We are lacking leaders. Where they come from, I don't know. I assumed that the centre half we were going to bring in as the left-sided player would have been someone that was experienced. If we get Mendy in, that's not going to be the case. It looks like our business is done in that area of the pitch. So yeah, it is a concern. Hopefully they've got a few things up their sleeves to address that, but you need leaders, particularly when you're trying to implement a new style and etc. You need people to be able on the field to bring everybody else with them. And I think at the moment it's obvious that when we're hitting a bit of difficulty, it's avoiding eye contact. It's slumped shoulders. It's not really feeling that comfortable. The players don't look particularly like they're enjoying their football at the moment. So yeah, I hope that they do address that, because if not, it would be a concern.
It would be. Right, we'll just spend a few minutes quickly there. We'll just touch up on the game tomorrow, and then we'll let the boys tonight go into depth about it. Tomorrow, what do we say about that? Of course, you're expecting a win. You're expecting a comfortable win. It might just be a case of we get the win. It's nothing special, and we move on. And we'll probably still complain because we've not battered them, and it's not been a cricket score. Tomorrow, if I'm trying to be realistic, Ash, I'm looking for just some signs of progress. I'm not looking for the wheel to be reinvented. I'm not. I'm just looking for some positive signs that have come off the training ground that have been implemented by the team. I would like to see some Mikey Moore. I would like to see Asgard, Igamane. I'd all like to see them get some part of the game. Especially, I'm really excited about Asgard and Mikey Moore. Both of them could bring something amazing to the team. I am just hoping that the cynic in me, no, don't laugh at the back there. These young boys coming in that haven't played yet don't get this bloody disease or infection of shitebaggery that it seems to be infecting all the new players that have come in. It's like there's something in the air that just infects them. So your thoughts on tomorrow, I don't know if you align with me, if you think something similar, or you actually get different goals and expectations for tomorrow.
No, I think you're right. You want to see something that you can hang your hat on and sort of start to believe in. Excuse me. The reality is that doesn't really matter. I am taken for a given that we will win tomorrow. And apologies if that's arrogant, but I think a League One team. Let's just assume that we're going to have enough to put them out tomorrow. But I want to see high tempo. I want to see great attitude. I want to see from the first whistle, none of this giving a half of football away anymore. Let's actually, from the outset, turn up, put in a performance, kill the game early on, which then gives us a bit of opportunity to see a few different players. I think there should be excitement about tomorrow, the likes of Igamane hopefully coming back in, Tello Asgard getting his opportunity, Manny Fernandez, I don't think we've seen in a competitive game. Correct me if I'm wrong, apologies if I've got that wrong, but I don't think that's the case. So it'll be good to see him under a little bit of competitive pressure, because all of these players that we're talking about are going to have to contribute this season. And what you want to, what better way to do it than at home in front of hopefully what will be a decent crowd against Alloa in the Cup. So tomorrow's performance isn't going to be, what's the benchmark of our season, but we need a bit of positivity and we need a little bit of something to get our teeth into and believe in. So that's what I'm hoping for tomorrow. Hope the players have got the message and we'll see a little bit more enjoyable football, because you want to leave the game with your, a smile on your face. You don't want to leave feeling like it's been a 90-minute slog, which is how I usually leave Ibrox, to be honest.
Yeah, and then
certainly
what
these
happens
days.
is Ash and I get in the car, and then we convene the daily session or the weekly session of the Soapbox Loyal, where we just bitch and moan about Rangers going back home. And I don't really want to do that. I actually want to leave kind of buzzing, kind of happy. So, and obviously tomorrow it won't be. I can't imagine it'll be a massive crowd. I mean, we've got our tickets because we're kind of staunch, but it won't be a massive turnout. So as many people as possible, bums and seats, try and give some support to the boys. I will personally never boo them if things go bad. I know
No.
some people do, and you're allowed to pay your money to do what you want. That's fine. I'll support them. I just need to see some signs tomorrow. Otherwise, I really don't see the point. And if you can't beat Alloa by a few goals, then there's something seriously up with that. So, yes, we'll see where we go. The boys tonight will be back. I think it's maybe Wilf that's taking that one. So get your questions in for Wilf and the boys later. They'll do a deep dive into this. Ash, thank you very much as always. Appreciate it.
Not at all, thank you. And if I may just actually answer one of the comments, DNK Family Gaming has asked if I bang or if we bang the sign on the way out of Ibrox. I'm afraid I'm about 2 foot too short to do that, so I do not. But I do put my hand up as if I was a bit taller, I would. So no, I sadly don't get to do that.
Maybe
Cue the short jokes.
I used to do that. I haven't done it for ages and ages though. Maybe I should start doing it. I'm not superstitious. I'll walk under ladders and everything. I don't give a shit. I'm a man of science. I don't believe in any of that stuff. But maybe I should. And then if I start hitting the sign away out and we start winning for the next several games, then we'll be like, right, Trevor actually was hitting the sign in the way out. So there must be something to it, right? You need to remind me, Ash, when we're going out. Right.
We've got to try something, Trev. We've got to try something. So yeah, I'll blame you tomorrow if you don't hit the sign and we lose the game, but I'm sure that we won't. But no, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed that. And hopefully next week we've got some, more positive pods because we've had a really good game tomorrow, and Tuesday will take care of itself.
It's whoever has said paint my bloody plants blue. That's not how it works. No, I'm managing to keep these alive, right? So it's no happening. Right, but we'll wrap up there. The boys will be back later. God knows what bloody outro has been put in for me. It's the wrestling one. It's the bloody wrestling one, man. Jesus, absolute Christ. Anyway, right, we'll select a new one. Thank you again, guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Let's see if it actually works.